Hey everyone, you know what time it is. It's time for your wake-up call. I'm Dr. Jeff LaCure, and once again, I am thrilled to be here with you. I first want to thank y'all for some really nice feedback about my most recent podcast on reinvigorating your love life, your sex life. And as I mentioned to you, it's going to be a 2 or 3-parter. Today will be part 2. During part 1, it really was an episode, for lack of a better term, that was pre-foreplay, that talked about attraction, talked about how we are attracted to each other, and it really went into detail about, considering what you wear and never taking each other for granted. I did get some feedback about, and I always do every time I mention that men fall in love with their eyes, and I want to clarify something, because I talked about that women need to be aware of moving forward that men still utilize their eyes as part of their love and appreciation for you. So let me say it this way. Men, we fall in love with our eyes. We continue to be in love utilizing our eyes, but it is our heart and the love that we feel for you that keeps us there. But I'm going to tell you again, I say this to everyone, you need to be aware of how you look and how you're presenting yourself. And some of the best feedback I received was the segment that discussed, if you don't feel good about how you look, right, that radiates in a negative way. How is your partner going to feel great about how you look? And as we segue into part 2, one of the elements that I highlighted for you last week in part 1 is that confident lovers are the best lovers because they're confident. So today we're going to talk more in detail what it means to be a confident lover. And I will tell you that confident lovers are very competent, right? They understand the process, right? So much wonderful part of sexual enjoyment and intimacy and lovemaking, and I love that phrase, lovemaking, right? Because it does create a sense of closeness, of calmness, of connectedness, that there aren't really many other kinds of activities that create that level of closeness. Lovemaking with somebody you really truly care about, I guess you can't call it lovemaking, actually releases serotonin, endorphins, right? Oxytocin. And again, oxytocin is that's been called the bonding, right? The bonding chemical, if you will. It creates a bond between parent and child, and certainly during physical intimacy, it creates this wonderful renewal and reconnection and connection with each other. So think about all that. The other cool things I want to talk to you a little bit about today during part 2 is that we know that when couples are sexually active with each other and they're really enjoying the experience, it doesn't have to be perfect. It's not a movie or television. They kind of make it look like something that in many ways it's not. It's great for our immune system. Think about that for a second. Man, the human body is so amazing that something that feels so good, right, physical intimacy with someone you really care about, something that feels so good, ironically, is really good for us. Think about that. Let that sink in like a grandmother's stew. By the way, I have to apologize that I brought up your grandmother in re-energizing your sex and love life. So don't think about your grandmother there. It'll really bug you. By the way, in Victorian England, back in the day, when sex was seen as this really kind of almost taboo, and the only time you ever did it was to have children, and women were actually raised and taught, don't enjoy it. Queen Victoria actually said to all the people in Great Britain, and I quote, for women, lie back and think of God and country. I'm going to tell you right now, no guy wants a woman laying back and thinking about God or their country or anything else other than their guy. And I would imagine no woman wants her guy thinking about God or country. You may see God, but you don't want to be thinking about God. I believe you know where I just went, and you enjoy that one because you know what? Great sex involves a great sense of humor, and sometimes you just got to laugh, right? Sometimes you do. Sometimes you got to bump heads because you're in a funky position and you both raised up at the same time and you bump heads. They rarely show that to you in a romantic movie, right? Everything's perfect. Everybody looks great. The lighting is perfect. The scene is perfect. There's a sunset. There's an ocean just crashing, right? They make lovemaking on the beach sound so romantic. You know it's not romantic? Sand in places it should never be. So you let your imagination run wild with that one too. But again, sense of humor. Confident lovers can laugh at themselves. They can laugh at their partners, not mocking them, not making fun of them, but recognizing we just bumped heads together, right? We just destroyed a headboard, a bed frame. It's ruined. It's trashed. We got to go to Jordan's, not a sponsor, but really good furniture with good owners or a good ownership group. Coached Elliot's son way back in the day at Lincoln Sudbury. Good people. Shout out to them. But back to the point. Sometimes funny things happen and you got to laugh. See, confident lovers don't approach physical intimacy and lovemaking with pressure, right? Going, oh my God, it's got to be this way. No, it's very organic. It's very spontaneous. It's very in the moment. So let me walk you through, it's technique oriented, but I want to be more complete than just sort of the nuts and bolts of it. I really want to give you kind of the emotionality of it, the physicality of it, and so on. Here's one of the number one complaints that I hear from married women in my clinical practice, either as individual clients or they come in as part of a couple seeking some couples counseling, some marital guidance, and so on. One of the number one complaints for women, bar none, and it's universal, is he used to kiss me. He used to kiss me a lot. And now, if he does, it's rare. If he does, it's quick. And I want you to understand the biophysicality differences for men and women. And I'm not saying that women don't have moments where it's really, really quick and let's just get right into it. Not saying that at all. Absolutely happens. But a woman's sex drive, a woman's sexual response is kind of like a tea kettle on the stove, right? And you fill the tea kettle up with water. There's some prep work going on, right? Then you got to turn up the heat. And if you don't turn up the heat enough for long enough, right, that kettle never boils, never bubbles up, never creates steam. See, I think it's a wonderful visual for you. And most women, not every time, but most of the time, are tea kettles. And they need a process, they need a chemical, they need a reaction, a response. They need things to be timely and well thought out and sort of go through some steps and process, right? And I'll be a little bold and a little provocative here. If you as a man give her a kiss or a couple of kisses or one sort of long kiss and you expect her to be emotionally and physically ready, can happen, but it's rare, you don't know what you're doing. And then the number two complaint that I hear over and over again, particularly for couples who have been together for a while, and again, if you got the young children out there or Aunt Hilda who just is mentally not ready to hear kind of this stuff in 2026, but at least I'm always transparent with you. I give you good clinical information and you do with it and incorporate it into your life, your bedroom or your kitchen island, however you want. But here's the number two complaint, and I'll give you this visual, that her partner, her guy, her dude, her man treats her breasts like radio dials. On and off and volume. Doesn't work. Again, dudes in particular, I'm speaking to you. I want you to visualize your partner as a tea kettle on the stove. And I want you to visualize that you first got to get the tea kettle. Then you got to put a little water in it. Then you got to place it on the stove. Then you got to turn it up. And then you're waiting for that tea kettle, for that water to heat up. Dudes, your role as the lover is to help the steam, to help the buildup. Now, one thing that I love to share with people, and I'm going to share it with you, men and women, singles and couples. You personally are not responsible for your partner's orgasm. That's on their dime. Now, you may enhance it, you may help create it, you may prolong it, and we certainly know a lot of lovers don't have a clue. You don't do the things that help he or she to get there. But it is up to the person to get there and to fill you in on what works. More of this, less of that, not so hard, harder, faster, slower, longer. You fill in the gaps, right? You have to take control and responsibility of A, your own body, and B, your own body response. And I'll tell you right now, the best lovemaking, the goal is an orgasm. But it's a wonderful side effect. It's a wonderful consequence of that level of emotional and physical and mental intimacy, right? Because what happens for people, see how I keep going to here? I do it sort of just naturally. I do it almost subconsciously. I am touching, for both men and women, the largest sex organ we have. It's our brain. And if you go into a physical, intimate connection and an experience thinking, oh my God, I got to have an orgasm. I got to give them an orgasm. You're already going down the wrong path. There's no question about it. I'll give you an interesting example. Since this is the biggest and most profound and most powerful sex organ that we have, our brain, right? It's so amazing what our brain does. This is what happens to a lot of men because they have their big brain and a smaller brain, right? You know where I'm headed. And a lot of guys, right, they're like, oh, I've seen the movies. I've seen 9.5 Weeks. Boy, I just dated myself. I think they came out in 1987. If that movie was made now, it'd be 9.5 minutes because no one has an attention span. But anyways, I threw it out. Look it up. Interesting movie, lots of creative usage of food, all right? 9.5 Weeks, 1987, interesting movie. But back to the point. See, a lot of guys think they got to just be like some foreign dude, right? Or whatever that means, right? Like, I know everything. And they put this psychological pressure on them. And when a man's brain starts to have psychological pressure, there is a part of him that will dip down. Or he may start with an erection, but he's thinking about, geez, I hope I don't lose the erection. Guess what the brain does? Yep, sends a little message. As soon as that thought's in there, right? A man's penis is very sensitive to the brain's thoughts and reactions. So dudes, don't put pressure on yourself. Don't think you got to be just this most amazing kind of lover. Be confident, be competent, right? And if it happens, and by the way, it happens to every man at some point in their life. And luckily, any dudes who are getting older, guess what? As you get older, your testosterone level starts to dip. Get your butt in the gym. It'll hold it stable a lot longer. And when that starts to happen, erectile difficulties happen, right? By the way, speaking of erections, that should be the title of my podcast today. Speaking of erections, here's the interesting thing. How many commercials do we have to see now? And I'm glad that it's been demystified, right? But there's Cialis and Viagra, Rougiette, Hims. I'm trying to, there's like more erection pills now than there were Beatles, for God's sakes, right? There's so many of them out there. Look, I'm doing old school stuff. I'm talking about 9.5 weeks from the 80s and the Beatles from the 60s and 70s. I got to get updated, but I don't know any current bands in 2026, and I don't consider Bad Bunny a band. Interesting dude, interesting halftime, but back to the point. Bad Bunny. I'm trying to think of that name. I had to say it. I'm going to title it this. But here's the deal. There's a reverse psychology that happens, right? Because a lot of dudes see these commercials and then they start thinking about, well, it hasn't happened to me, but what if I do lose my erection? I'm telling you, thinking about losing your erection is the most effective way to lose your erection. And while we're talking about erections, I want to speak to my sisters out there. Because I know you're going, I've been with a dude who has lost an erection. And here's the normal, natural reaction for most women when their partner loses his erection. It must be me. Trust me, on behalf of approximately 200 million men in this country, it ain't you. To my sisters, it is not you. Ladies, it is not you, right? It's not that you're not cute enough or attractive enough or sexy enough. It's not you. So please don't allow yourself to think if your guy starts with an erection and loses the erection or can't maintain an erection or doesn't get an erection, that it's a shortcoming in you. It is never about you, I promise. Well, I guess this could happen. Right? If the first time your guy disrobes and you go, what the hell is that? That might impact him a little bit. Or if you go, oh, that's so cute, that's going to impact him. So I guess it could be you. But under those other circumstances where you're not making fun of the dude, because that's an erection killer, right? Don't make fun of the dude. No matter how he's built, don't make fun of him. But it's never you. Right? If there's some things going on, there's some physical intimacy going on, you're making out hardcore, there's some other great things going on, and he loses or can't maintain an erection. Trust me, he already feels horrible. It's not you, so don't add that to your own mental and emotional standpoint and opinion, and then you feel guilty yourself. Which leads me to the next best thing, I think, when it comes to great lovemaking. And I mentioned this last week in part 1. Great lovemaking is great communication. It really is. Great communicators tend to be, they're not always competent, right? There are techniques. You got to be skilled, right? Being a skilled lover does tend to make you a great lover, particularly if you're really communicative. And so you do need to be able to have conversations with your partner about everything as it relates to sexual intimacy, right? I think one of the best parts of lovemaking is after the lovemaking. And you're holding each other, I hope. See, there's a hint, there's a tip. You're holding each other, you're messing with each other's hair, and you do the recap. And you talk about, like, wow, that was really wow. And you know what? You did something different, loved it. You tried something different. Hey, thank you for trying, right? I want to be your lab rat, whatever it is, right? And while you're high as a kite because of all the endorphins and everything that's being released in your brain and your bloodstream, right? You share really nice things with each other. You share how much you care about her, how much he means to you, how much you adore her, how much you value him. See, here's a big mistake. Number 3 for guys. Women, number 1, you don't kiss long enough, or you don't care, or you had too much garlic. Number 2 for women, you treat their breasts like radio dials. And then number 3, what guy ever should do this? Ever. And for that matter, women too, I'm going to throw you a little bit more leeway as women, but I still don't like it. But dudes, don't do this. This is not a sign of a great lover. This is not a respectful lover. This is not a guy who has a clue. This is a guy who leaves his partner not feeling good. And here's the example. After fooling around, your very first thing you do, dude, is you go take a shower. What? You take a, wait a minute, I'm sitting up for that one. Now I'm fired up. You take a shower after being physically intimate with your partner? What message are you delivering? I got to get you off. I got to get any trace or evidence of you off of me. You are dirty. Right? I'm going through the possibilities of what a woman might think in her head. Or a guy is thinking, you must be nasty. I got to shower and I got to shampoo and I got to clean myself because we just made love. Wow. That's the number 3 most common complaint from women. My partner gets up immediately and takes a shower. Now, it is 2026. Notice how my voice subtly changed. I'm like the white Barry White. I guess I'm Barry Black. I don't know what it is. I'm trying to make it funny. Hopefully it worked. Back to the point. You know what's kind of cool? Is if you both take a shower together. Not because you're dirty. Not because you want to wash away the evidence. No, it's kind of a cool thing to do. Right? And not that I'm saying it has to happen, but it frequently does. When you sneak into a nice warm shower together, guess what? Round 2. Round 2. Round 2. Think about that for a second. By the way, speaking of showers, not a great place to do certain things. Love making in a shower? Possible, but difficult. Because the water, not a good lubricant. It's just not. Right? But there's other things you could do. And I'll tell you, one of the most romantic, cool things you could do as part of your foreplay if you're both in the shower together, make out. Have that hot water just coming down and everybody's hair's all funky and wet. You're relaxed. Kiss. Kiss extensively, right? Really be aware and connect. Speaking of kissing, because I think it is the bridge to everything good that follows. There's no question about it, right? Here's the thing. I can't demonstrate it for you. I'm not going to demonstrate it, but I'll give you a visual and let your minds wander away. If your tongue, right, serves to be a spatula trying to flip over a pancake, no one enjoys that. If your tongue reminds you of that weird tube that they use to drain saliva when you go to the dentist when they're filling a cavity, nobody enjoys that. By the way, no one enjoys the tube. But if that's your tongue, no. A tongue should be an accent piece, right? Mucho nerves right here. More nerves here, a lot of nerves here, as we talked about pheromones. Your tongue should be an accent piece. Your tongue shouldn't be like a Gia monster lizard where it's just coming at you, right? It's just coming at you, coming at you. There's nothing enjoyable about that. There's nothing, I mean, I shouldn't say that. I guess if that's your thing, go for it. But it's the thing. It's one of the complaints I hear. What are you doing with your tongue that you're creating? You're building pancakes in your partner's mouth and you're using it as a spatula. Time to flip it. It just doesn't work. By the way, little fun fact for you, because remember, I'm a social scientist. I love this stuff. Social science. It's so beautiful, right? Guess what sex act a prostitute charges the most for, or most prostitutes won't even do it? Kissing. And that's all you need to know. Kissing is the most intimate sex act between two people. Let me replay it, restate it, and say it again. Kissing is the most intimate physical act between two people who care about each other. And to my brothers and sisters, you better be good at it. You better be real good at it. You better care about your oral hygiene. If you think having a Caesar salad with anchovies on it and you don't brush your teeth is romantic, you don't have a clue. By the way, Caesar dressing, which is loaded with garlic, right? It's there for 24 hours. So if you think you're going to make out with your partner, why would you eat garlic products, onions, other things that just smell bad but taste good, right? It's not a turn on. It's just not. And again, I want to state it. I want to restate it for you. I'm here to help you. And I'm enjoying helping you, by the way. I hope you can tell by my energy. Kissing, so intimate. And yet, so many couples, as they move along into their relationship, it gets less and less and less and less. It gets shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter. You want to demonstrate to your partner that you're a confident lover? You want to demonstrate to your partner that you're a competent lover? You want to blow your partner away? You want to demonstrate to your partner, wow, this dude or dudette has a clue? Spend an entire physical, intimate session just making out. Seriously, I dare you. Just making out. See, when I work with couples, which I do extensively and have done extensively for years, and I dare say with a lot of success, a lot of times they come in and it's either the cause or the effect, but they talk about a diminished sex life. And here's what I suggest first. I shouldn't tell you, I should charge you $250 for this one, but this one's on the house. I shouldn't tell you because you're not going to come into the office. And I shouldn't tell you because then you're going to know the punchline. And I don't want you to know the punchline, but I'm going to give you the punchline. This is a freebie. Write it down. This is what I say to couples. I give them a homework assignment, right? If they got a funky sex life, the libidos are down, they're not enjoying it, it's not electric anymore, it's not July 5th, because trust me, July 4th, eventually in a relationship, it goes away too, right? Your fireworks are kind of like, poof, right? It kind of happens. But July 5th could still be amazing. But back to the point, this is the homework assignment I give to couples. And it works every time. I tell them between now and the next time we sit down for your couples counseling, you got one rule. No other rules. Do whatever you want, but you got one rule. You cannot do anything physical in the bedroom or where else you choose to be. The only thing you can do is kiss. That's it. Just kissing. No time limit, as short as brief, as long as short, whatever. But that's it. And I love when I give that homework assignment. Because 9 times out of 10, I open up my office door into the waiting room, beautiful office and waiting room in Holliston for all your mental health needs. And what do I see? But I see couples kind of like sitting here like this, like, he's going to know. Yep, and I do. And guess what? By taking away the pressure that any physical encounter is going to lead to sexual intercourse, by removing that, by setting a boundary, it creates an electricity. And they focus on kissing. And guess what? When they focus on kissing, they get back to their roots. They get back to what feels good. And I'm telling you, a great makeout session makes you high as a kite, and you don't need detox, and you certainly don't need medication. And it's a great, great strengthener of your immune system. It's a great strengthener of all your love life and of your partner. And I love it when they come in and I go, you guys didn't you? Yes. And I say, how was it? And they go, amazing. Right? In part 3, what I'm going to talk with you about is when there is some dysfunction and how to get through it. Because I will tell you right now, there's 3 things that really disrupt, besides the obvious, right? If you have an affair, you're going to torpedo your relationship. There's 3 things that really devastate frequently a relationship. One is any financial stress, right? It kills the libido, right? It's hard to focus on the one you love and how you want to love them when you're worried about paying an electric bill. Trust me. 2 is if there's any physical health issues, right? Any physical health issues. And 3 are in-laws, and we'll leave it at that, right? But we're talking extended stress. So I want to help you in part 3, in the conclusion of my 3-part series of reinvigorating your love and sex life. I'm going to give you some real tips and suggestions of how to reconnect, how to re-inspire, and how to make it through if you're having some sexual dysfunctions. I'm not talking about that things aren't necessarily physically working right. There's other kinds of sexual dysfunctions, right? There's the mental ones, there's the emotional ones. I want to help you get close to each other. So I'm going to give you some tips, and I'll frame it with this as I wrap today. You heard me talk about that the 4th of July is dead and gone. And that's true, by the way. It's a sad reality that over the length of a relationship, right? And some studies suggest that this change happens as frequently as 3 to 5 years. The intensity, the frequency, and the electricity, the passion, the power, the purpose of physical intimacy starts to come down, right? When you're in a new relationship and you're comfortable with each other, because remember, great sex, you got to be comfortable with each other. When you're in that phase, it's so electric. And you're so provocative, and you're so creative. And what we know is after time, that starts to diminish. It's very healthy and normal. A lot of times this intense love that we have for each other, this romantic love, begins to morph into a kind of romantic friendship. It's a normal, healthy thing. And what I try to help couples understand is, yeah, you may not be having 4th of July. And think about it, the fireworks, right? But boy, I'll tell you, you can have some phenomenal July 1st. And I promise you, I guarantee it, you can have some amazing September 12th. Absolutely. I promise you I'm going to have an amazing September 12th, and it's only February. But that's going to be my transition into part 3, is to help you all understand the normal way in a relationship that things change. But in part 3, I'm going to help you keep it as electric and as fresh as possible. Because when you do that, right, when there's a breakdown in our sexual relationship, there's a breakdown in other areas, whether it's a cause or effect. So we're going to talk about that. Hey, I hope this has been really, really helpful. I value your feedback. If you want to reach me directly, it's LaCure J, my last name J, at yahoo.com. And I am going to be bringing some people on. They'll be talking about their love life and how they've made it and how they've kept things electric. We're going to talk a lot about the emotions. But in the meantime, this is your wake-up call. And I'm Dr. Jeff LaCure. And once again, it has been a thrill and a treat to be with you. You know, I'll see you real soon.